wonder why some people seem to break bad habits easily while some of us can struggle for years. The truth is, it's actually not about willpower and motivation. The real reason goals fail is because most people don't actually know how change happens. Change isn't a one-step process. It happens in stages. This idea comes from a powerful psychological framework called the Trans-Theoretical Model of Change, or TTM for short. It's been studied for decades with real-world evidence showing why it works better than the old-school just do it advice. This model helps people in all kinds of situations like decluttering, quitting smoking, improving mental health, or simply managing your time because it acknowledges that change takes time and effort. Once you know what stage you're in, you can start making changes in a way that actually sticks. So if you've ever thought,
why can't I make this work?
In today's video, I'll help you discover exactly what stage of change you're in, but most importantly, how to move forward. So grab a pen and think about one change you've been wanting to make in your life. It could be setting boundaries, exercising more, or curbing that sweet tooth. Hold that thought in your mind as we walk through the 5 stages of change together, because the key to success is knowing where you are and how to take the right next step. By the end, you'll have clarity on exactly why you're stuck, where to start, what to do about it, and to finally make that change that you've been trying to make for years. Maybe stick. Let's jump right into the first stage, and it is called pre-contemplation. In this stage, this is when you're not ready to change yet. Often, other people see the need for you to change before you actually do. So, for example, your doctor tells you to lose weight for health reasons, but you think, it's not that bad. Maybe a friend suggests that you can cut back on drinking, but you brush it off saying, I'm just socializing, or I have a high tolerance. Someone maybe points out your stress levels and recommends mindfulness, meditation, but you believe, I'm just too busy. And this is all just a normal part of life. At this stage, you're not actively thinking about a particular change, and that's okay. Awareness is the first step. No need to force yourself into action. Just start asking questions. So pre-contemplation is one of those interesting stages because there is this unconscious level that, it's almost like in the back of your mind, you know that something has to change, but you have yet to bring it into your awareness. So some of my students call it denial. Another way to think about it is just not ready. But one thing that's clear is we often will have other people pointing out things that we need to change. A good journal prompt, if this is something that you find yourself getting triggered by other people who have said things to you as a pattern, a good journal prompt for this is to simply ask yourself, what do others see that I might be missing? Right? So instead of rejecting what others are saying, and again, that's not to say that everything other people say has any kind of merit. Some people are honestly just bullies and say cruel things for a variety of different reasons. It's actually interesting. Me and my daughter just finished doing an assignment on bullying and bullying awareness. But my point is that sometimes people are just cruel. But I'm talking about there's certain things or certain people in your life who love you, who are your support system, who want the best for you. Maybe somebody has, or multiple people in your life have been telling you, hey, maybe you're drinking a little too much, right? Instead of maybe rejecting this, and this can be incredibly unpleasant, but if you really want to achieve a healthy life, sometimes we have to kind of come face to face with things that are not comfortable for us and see what comes up for you. The next stage in the TTM model is contemplation. And contemplation is where I want to say, in all my years teaching health psychology, I want to say 80% of the population is in. And contemplation, this is where you're thinking about change, but kind of feel stuck in what we call ambivalence. So you go back and forth wanting to change one day and finding excuses the next. So this is much more different than pre-contemplation, right? Because in pre-contemplation, it's denial, I'm not aware, but others are aware of it, right? In contemplation, which is where most of us are at, you are aware that you need to make a change. And this change could be you need to quit smoking, or you need to exercise, or you need to declutter your home, or you need to organize, or you need to set boundaries with your partner or your mother or your friends or whatever it is, right? Or you have to improve your self-esteem, or you have to work on your finances, right? You are in contemplation. You are aware that something needs to change, but you're stuck. right? And this is what it means to be ambivalent. Ambivalent means that you're essentially on a seesaw, right? Ambivalence is marked by the feeling of being undecided, right? So you know you need to make a change. And like one day you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to sign up for the gym. I'm going to go 3 times a week. And then the next day you're like, do I really need to? What's the point? Is it even going to work? Can I even make time for it, right? The same applies to, for example, changing your diet or eating healthier, right? It's like, yeah, I need to, eat healthier, but at the same time, I've been eating this way for such a long time. Can I do it? Can I commit? Maybe you have other people in your house. Like, will they be on board for these healthy eating habits? What do I even cook? Where do I even shop, right? It feels incredibly overwhelming, and maybe you feel like you just can't do it. You can't start, you can't stick with it, right? It just feels like this big thing that you would have to undertake, and you just don't feel ready. And as a result of that, because it feels difficult, because you don't know if you're going to succeed, because oftentimes you fear failure, you will then procrastinate. But under it all, you know that you need to change. You know that you need to change a habit. You're just not committed to doing it. So the trick to moving forward is journaling and something we call change talk. So I'm going to walk you through a few questions and a few journal prompts that you can ask yourself. And I really encourage you, the person who is able to successfully navigate through these stages is the person that actually commits to doing the work, right? So instead of just listening to the journal prompts, I really highly encourage you to write it out, right? Write out the question and then take the time, invest the time to journal and write out the answers. This is what's going to help you get from contemplation, where you're ambivalent, you're not yet committed, to the next stage. So here are some journal prompts. Ask yourself, why do I want this change? Why do you want to declutter your home? Why do you want to eat healthier? And we want to also define what healthier means, right? What does it mean to eat healthier? If you're diagnosed with a chronic illness, there's a specific diet that you should abide. By the way, I hate the word diet. I feel like diet has such a negative connotation attached to it that if anybody ever hears the word diet, they just automatically, it like comes up with feelings of like resentment and dislike and disdain and like, I'm just not gonna do it, right? But write down, why do I want this change? If you begin to manage your mental health or manage your depression or manage your anxiety or manage your diabetes or any of these other things, even if it's simply drinking more water, right? What will that do for you? How will this impact your life? How would this change your life? How will you begin to feel? What would it allow you? What will improve? Right? Get specific. So why do I want this change? The next question you want to journal is, how would my life improve if I made this change? And we all know that if we begin to make positive changes in our life gets better. It does not get worse. Now, it might take time, right? Things don't happen overnight. If you're trying to lose 30 pounds, for example, that's not going to happen in a week and 2 weeks and 4 weeks, right? That's going to take time. But in general, whatever change you're trying to make in your life is there to improve it. So take a minute and write down, allow yourself to dream. How will your life improve? What will become better? How delicious will your life be, right? Again, fantasize. You're not doing anything yet. Fantasize about how much better your life will be if you begin to take the necessary steps to make this change. Journal prompt number 3, and this one's a little painful. What would happen if I stay the same? What will your life look like if you continue to eat fast food? If you continue to drink soda, if you continue to shop impulsively, if you continue to stay in your toxic relationship, if you continue to allow certain people in your life, if you continue to not exercise, if you continue to work 50, 70-hour weeks to the point where you're so stressed and overwhelmed that you're experiencing burnout. If you continue on this path, what will that look like? If you make no change, if you stay as is, what will life look like? To journal prompt number 4 under contemplation. What small action can I take right now to get me closer to that change? I am not saying anything astronomical, right? I'm not talking about walking to your refrigerator and your pantry and getting rid of all unhealthy foods, right? I'm talking about tiny, like a 1% change. And I'm not even asking you to do it. Think about what small change you can make. Just one teeny tiny small change that you can make that will move you towards your goal, right? It can even be something where maybe you have a toxic friend, and one small change could be the next time that she texts you, you leave her on read, or you don't pick up. It could be something as simple as, if you're trying to lose weight, simply logging on to like YouTube and looking through weight loss cardio or Zumba or some type of videos that you can do in your home. Again, you're not starting, you're not doing anything yet. Just think to yourself, write down what's one small step that you can write down that's low stress, low overwhelm, that would get you closer to your desired goal. Write that down. Another thing that's really, really effective, and this works very, very well for a lot of my clients and a lot of my students, and it is to write out a pros and cons list. Write down the pros of changing and the cons for staying the same, right? What are the benefits for making a change, right? What are all of these delicious little things that'll happen? You'll feel better. You'll have more energy. You'll be a more present parent. You'll be a better partner. You'll be able to land at a great job. You'll be able to get out of debt, right? Allow yourself to dream. What are the pros of making the change, right? Write them all down. And then what are the cons for staying the same? When it's in front of you, it's hard to dismiss it. It's hard to reject it. You can avoid it. You can be like, I'm not looking on this anymore, right? But it's there. It's in front of you. So why am I asking you to do all this, right? Why am I spending so much time in this contemplation phase? And it's because statistically and empirical data supports that the more we talk about our reasons for change, the more likely we are to actually commit to changing a behavior. And what happens when you do a lot of this journal prompting and then you reread it is you begin to internalize the change, right? You begin to want it. You begin to desire it. And that is what helps you transition and progress into our third stage of change, which is called preparation. Now, preparation is such an exciting stage. Preparation is exactly what it sounds like. You are getting ready to take action, but have not fully committed just yet. So what do I mean by that? Maybe you buy workout clothing and sign up for a gym membership, but you have not yet started. You start researching meal plans or downloading a water tracking app. Maybe you reach out to a coach or an accountability partner like me to help you stay on track. This stage is incredibly exciting because you are doing something. You're getting ready. You're prepared. You've gotten out of that contemplation. You've gotten out of the ambivalence. It's such a wonderful thing to celebrate, right? And you're preparing to take action. A good journal prompt for this stage is to ask yourself, what do I need to get started? Or who can support me as I make this change? The last thing you want to see happen is you begin to make a change, right? You're beginning to build a new habit and you realize you're missing the resources that you need to actually make it happen. So let's use the example of wanting to lose weight, right? You've decided that you're going to exercise, but you haven't prepared. You don't know how you're going to exercise. You don't know where you're going to go. Are you going to do it at home? Or are you going to do it at the gym? What time of day? How many days a week? For how long, right? You haven't worked out any of these things. And when you do take the leap, and even let's say you start exercising, it can become very discouraging because there's absolutely no schedule, because we didn't take the time to actually prepare and invest, right? Which is why I think working out a system and preparing and understanding exactly what you need to set yourself up for success before you move on to the next phase has the highest likeliness that you're going to stick with the new habit and the new wonderful healthy change you're trying to make. This stage is all about building momentum. The more prepared you feel, the easier it will be to step into our next phase, which is the action phase, the phase that most of us procrastinate getting to. But again, if you are navigating the stages and if you are journaling and if you're following the steps in its sequential order, by the time you get to the action phase, you are excited. Listen, it means you're doing it, right? It means that today's the first day that you didn't smoke a cigarette. Today is the first day that you didn't get a burger at McDonald's or whatnot. Today's the first day that you did yoga for 10 minutes in the morning, or you did Pilates for 30 minutes, or you went to the gym. Whatever it is, action. Day one is marked by you are doing it. In this stage, it is important to celebrate your small wins and stay motivated. It also helps if you can invest or pair up with an accountability partner for support, because here, relapse happens, and it is a normal part of being in the action phase. While it is incredibly excited to reach action, to actually start doing it, right? Maybe you've been talking about changing a particular behavior or getting out of relationships or whatever it is for years and years and years. And today becomes the first day that you take the first step, that actionable first tangible step to make it happen. But like with anything new, when we first start doing it, there's a lot of motivation and momentum that comes the first week, the second week, the third week, and then we tend to, right? Again, this is going back to New Year's resolutions. This is why New Year's resolutions don't stick. It's because we do it, we're excited the first few weeks, maybe the first month, if you even make it that far, and then afterwards we kind of fall off. It's called a relapse, and it's totally normal. Right? It is normal to lose momentum. It is normal to lose motivation after a short period of time. For whatever habit you set out to change, you've been at that habit for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. It is incredibly unrealistic to expect yourself, right? And this is why I say be kind to yourself. It is incredibly unrealistic for you to expect yourself to do a full 180 and stick with it, right? It is impossible to go from eating sugar 5 days a week, having sugar as your safety net, as your comfort. I love chocolate, by the way, right? I have to practice a lot of self-discipline to refrain from eating chocolate sometimes. Most often, I just won't have it in my house, right? Out of sight, out of mind. But with that said, you've been practicing a particular behavior for a long time. You just started building a new healthy habit. It is unrealistic for you to put so much pressure on yourself, to expect yourself to be able to stick with it and never relapse. Right? Never go back to your old. And that's what a relapse is. It's simply going back to the way you used to do things. That's all it is, right? It is, how cruel, right? Of us to think that way and then to penalize ourselves, right? Maybe you started exercising 3 days a week. You did it for 3 weeks. And then next thing you know, you're like, I don't want to exercise. Or we come up with excuses, right? And we begin to procrastinate. And then we're hard on ourselves for doing it. It's this vicious cycle of negative thinking, which I'm not even going to get into. But again, with that said, I want you to look at relapse in a different way. I want you to look at those moments where you stop doing something or you go back to a previous behavior as a learning opportunity. Temptation is very normal. Going back to a previous bad habit is totally normal. It's part of the change journey, right? If you went back to the other habit, instead of spending a bunch of time being like, oh my God, I can't believe it. You know, I was doing so well. I wasn't drinking soda, or I was doing so well and I was exercising and then I stopped. Oh my God, I'm a terrible person. I'll never succeed again. That's complete and utter BS, right? Let it go. Learn from it, right? What made you go back to that previous behavior? What's missing in your life, right? Maybe we need additional stress management techniques or coping strategies or whatnot. Or maybe you really do need an accountability partner. This is why life coaches are so effective, right? Coaches in general, accountability partners are effective, right? This is why people invest hundreds and thousands of dollars into coaches. I myself have a coach. I have a coach and I have a therapist, right? Every single one of us requires that and needs that support and can benefit from that support. Our chances, by the way, for success when it comes to changing a behavior go up by 92% if you actually invest in a coach or an accountability partner. Just an FYI. So be good to yourself. Reevaluate what happened, right? Maybe change up the way, maybe whatever you set out, right? Whether it's meal planning or whatnot, maybe it just wasn't working for you. Maybe it wasn't being seamlessly integrated into your day-to-day. You know, I see this a lot with my clients who are trying to work out and lose weight, right? They'll be like, Margo, I'm going to exercise at, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., 3 days a week. And I'm like, okay, you're a mom to 3. You come home from work. You have to make, do homework with your kids, make the kids dinner. How is this exercise happening at 6 p.m.? Right? Sometimes it's not that you failed. Sometimes it's when you decided to do a particular habit or a particular change is just not seamlessly or comfortably being integrated into your daily life. And I can do an entire video on that as well. So typically we are in the action phase from day 1 till about 6 months. Now, on average, depending on what data you've read or what books or what statistic or who have said it, habits are built anywhere between 30 days, 1 month, and 6 months, right? On average, we want to say 3 months, right? So this is why for the TTM model of behavioral change, we say that folks are in the action phase from day 1 till about 6 months, which is how long it takes to really build a more sustainable new habit. Not only that, 6 months typically is a good window for you to begin to see results. So if you were trying to lose weight within 6 months, you probably have lost some weight, right? If you're managing a chronic illness or a mental health condition, chances are you're starting to see improvement. If you are decluttering your home, purging your home within 6 months, although oftentimes sooner, you start to see and experience the benefits of having a clutter-free home or a healthier lifestyle, which is why we then move over into the 5th stage of change, which is maintenance. This is where you've made the change and are focused on keeping it going. Now again, the action phase typically lasts between 1 day and 6 months, whereas the maintenance is 6 months and beyond. We tend to see relapse here less frequently because a new habit has been built, and after a few months, you're probably seeing the benefits of all your hard work. Here are some examples of being in the maintenance phase and what might happen. You've been consistent with your workout routines for months. You're drinking water instead of soda, and this has become second nature. You're setting boundaries confidently and feeling the benefits. You're essentially doing the work, and you've been now doing the work consistently. And you're reaping the benefits and you're feeling better. And you're probably at some point asking yourself, why didn't I start this change sooner? Here's a journal prompt for you when you're in the maintenance phase. Because again, keep in mind that with the introduction of a huge stressor or crisis, you can still go back to the previous habit. So a good journal prompt can be, what challenges might come up and how will I handle them? Maintenance is about planning for the long term and staying consistent even when life throws you off track. I will say this, if you have made it to the maintenance phase, and I'm sure you've made it to the maintenance phase in previous changes that you've tried to achieve and complete, I want to commend you. I want to celebrate you. That is an absolutely incredible thing. You have built a new, healthy, sustainable habit. And there are plenty of examples in your life where you have done that, where you started off having a bad or a toxic behavior, or there was a need for a change and you were successfully able to overcome it, right? So if you're currently struggling with something, I urge you to think about what are some examples from your life, from your past, where you felt overwhelmed and you felt like you can't do it, yet you were successful. Because the truth is, if you were able to overcome, right, or change a bad habit, right, improve your life before, you can do it again. The only reason that this seems scary is because you haven't done it yet, because it seems incredibly overwhelming, right? And it's really just about one step at a time. It's really just kind of going through and navigating these stages of change. And eventually, just like with a previous behavior you tried to change, you will make it to maintenance. But you won't do that unless you actually begin. So in the beginning of this video, I asked you to choose one change you wanted to make. So I'm curious, drop it in the comment. What was the change and what stage of change are you currently in? The key is to embrace every single stage and move at your own comfortable pace. And if you slip up, if you relapse, that's okay. Just keep moving forward. If you enjoyed my video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my weekly videos. And remember to be good to yourself.